Part 1. He was perfect. Too perfect. If someone had told me a year ago that the man I called the love of my life was actually married with a child, I would have laughed loudly, bitterly, because back then I still believed those kinds of stories were just Reddit drama posts or something you'd see in a soap opera. Not real life. And definitely not my life. But now I'm sitting on the cold kitchen floor, staring at nothing while my hands still tremble from what I just saw on his phone. It was the moment everything shattered, like a mirror breaking in slow motion. The pieces were my trust, my plans, my memories, and in the broken reflection, I saw a completely different man. Someone I didn't know at all. My name is Emma. I'm 28, living in a quiet suburb near Seattle. I work as a graphic designer, and I've always been one of those people who plans everything. My week, my meals, even my future family timeline. I don't do chaos. I don't do surprises, but Noah was the exception. I met him at a coffee shop, cliche as it sounds. He spilled espresso on my sketch pad, apologized 100 times, and offered to buy me a new one. I remember thinking how charming his awkwardness was. He had this magnetic calm about him, like nothing ever rattled him. We started dating a week later, and within 2 months, I was falling hard. He was smart, thoughtful, attentive, the kind of guy who remembered the names of all your coworkers and brought you soup when you had a cold. And God, did he know how to make me feel safe? We dated for almost a year. Not once did he mention a wife. Not once did he say the word child. He stayed at my place 3 to 4 nights a week. Said he was renting a place closer to his job, which explained why I never saw where he lived. I didn't question it. I trusted him. I mean, why wouldn't I? Everything felt real until it didn't. The day it all began to unravel, I wasn't snooping. I swear. His phone buzzed on the counter while he was in the shower and I glanced at. It was instinct. The message preview said, "Can you pick up Emma from school today? She's asking for you." Emma. That's my name. For a second, my brain short-circuited. Was it a mistake? A wrong number? Then another message popped up, and this one froze the blood in my veins. She misses her daddy. Daddy dot. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. I picked up his phone, unlocked it. He had no password and went straight to the messages. And what I saw. That's when the perfect man I loved vanished. And a stranger took his place. Part 2. The messages I wasn't meant to see. The conversation thread was with someone named Maddie. And from the way she wrote, this wasn't just some casual co-parenting situation. This was intimate, familiar, like two people who had built a life together, who still shared one. The messages stretched back for months. Photos of a little girl about 5 or 6 with brown curls and Noah's exact dimples. Birthday party snapshots, playground visits. Notes like, "She drew this for you today," or "We miss you. Come home soon." One photo hit me like a punch to the stomach. Noah in a park, holding the girl on his shoulders, kissing her forehead. The caption? Our world. My heart physically ached. My breathing got shallow. I sat there, scrolling, unable to stop. Every text was a nail in the coffin of the life I thought I had. How long? How long had he been lying to me? To her? To that little girl? I didn't even hear the shower stop. I only realized he was standing behind me when I heard his voice, calm and casual. You okay? I turned slowly, holding up his phone like it was a weapon. Who is Maddie? He froze. For a split second, something flickered across his face. Regret, panic. I'll never forget the way his shoulders slumped, like someone had just knocked the air out of him. She's my she's my wife, he said, voice barely above a whisper. Wife. I stood up so fast the chair toppled behind me. You're what? Are you joking right now? You're married. He didn't try to lie. Didn't try to deny it. Just stood there like the man who'd finally been caught. And the little girl. I asked, even though I already knew the answer. He looked down. My daughter, Emma. The world tilted. You named her after me? No, he said quickly. It's just A coincidence. You two just have the same name? I laughed. It was a broken, manic kind of laugh. So let me get this straight. For almost a year, you've been playing house with me while actually having a wife and child somewhere else. And your excuse is coincidence? He reached for me, and I jerked away. Please. It's complicated. No, Noah. I snapped. It's actually pretty simple. You're a liar, a cheat, and a coward. His face twisted like he wanted to explain, to plead, but I was already backing away. Grabbing my keys, my purse, anything to escape the apartment that suddenly felt like a crime scene dot as I stepped out the door. I said the last words I'd ever. Speak to him. I hope she finds out what kind of man you really are, and when she does, I hope she burns your whole fake life to the ground. Then I left. But little did I know. That was only the beginning. Part 3. I needed the truth. All of it. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. My apartment was full of memories of him. Our mornings with coffee in bed. The time he helped me hang fairy lights on the balcony. The Polaroid we took at that fall festival where he said I looked like his future. Disgusting. I crashed at my friend Zoe's place. She didn't ask questions at first. She just handed me a blanket and a glass of wine and let me crumble. I cried until my chest physically hurt. Then I told her everything. Every lie I now knew was a lie. Every memory tainted. And when I was done, she just said, "We need to find her." I blinked. Who? His wife. Maddie. She deserves to know. You both do. At first, I hesitated. Was it my place? Would I only make things worse? But the longer I thought about it, the more I realized Noah had built a life on secrets. If I kept quiet, I'd be protecting him. And after what he did to me, and apparently to her, he didn't deserve protection. He deserved exposure. So we started digging. It wasn't hard. A reverse image search on one of the photos from his phone led us to Maddie's Facebook page. She looked sweet. Soft features, warm smile, pictures of her baking cookies with their daughter. His daughter. A life I was never supposed to see. Zoe clicked on Maddie's profile photo, then whispered, "She looks happy. Like, she really thinks she's married to a good man." I swallowed hard. She's not. Her profile was public. Scrolling through it felt wrong, like reading someone's diary, but I couldn't stop. They've been married for 8 years. 8. That meant he was married when I met him. While he was kissing me, texting me good night, making promises, he had a whole family. My stomach turned. I couldn't breathe. How do you process something like that? I found her on Instagram next. And that's where I saw something that finally broke me. A video, taken just a few weeks ago. Maddie and Noah dancing in their living room. Their daughter giggling in the background. The caption read, "Still my favorite dance partner. Love you. Always, Noah." That was the moment it clicked. He wasn't separated, like I half hoped. He wasn't leaving her, or planning to tell me someday. No, he was living a double life on purpose, and I had been the other woman without even knowing it. I looked at Zoe, voice shaking. "I'm going to tell her." She nodded. Good, she needs to know, and you need closure. But part of me already knew. This wasn't going to be clean. It was going to get messy, very, very messy. Part 4. The message that changed everything. It took me hours to figure out what to say. Every sentence felt either too cruel or too soft. How do you tell a woman her husband has been lying to her for a year? That he's been sleeping beside her at night while whispering "I love you" to someone else? In the end, I wrote this. "Hi, Maddie. You don't know me, but I believe you deserve the truth. I've been in a relationship with Noah for the past 11 months. I didn't know he was married. I didn't know he had a daughter. I only found out a few days ago. I've attached screenshots and photos to explain everything. I'm so sorry you're finding out this way. But you deserve to know who he really is." Emma, my hand shook as I hit send, and then silence for hours, then a full day. Then, too, I started to wonder if she'd even seen the message, if she'd just deleted it, blocked me, dismissed me as a bitter ex trying to stir drama. Until the third night, I was lying on Zoe's couch again, staring at the ceiling when my phone lit up with a single notification. Maddie, can you talk? My throat tightened. Zoe saw my face and sat up instantly. Is it her? I nodded, heart racing. She wants to talk. She FaceTimed me 20 minutes later. I don't think I'll ever forget her face when it appeared on my screen, puffy eyes. Blotchy cheeks? That exhausted, hollow look you get when your entire world just cracked in half. Hi, she said softly. Her voice was barely there. Hi, Maddie, I whispered. I'm so sorry. She nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me. I knew something was off. I just, I didn't want it to be this. I didn't know about you, I said quickly. If I had God, I never would have, I believe you, she interrupted. You didn't lie to me. He did. There was a pause. Then she asked the question I'd been dreading. Did you love him? I didn't answer right away. I looked down, ashamed. Yeah, I did. She nodded again. Me too. That hurt more than I expected. We talked for nearly 2 hours. Compared stories, timelines, lies. We even laughed bitterly at how good he was at it. How seamless. How practiced. But what broke me was when she said, he used to disappear for business trips, I thought. He was cheating, but every time I brought it up, he'd twist it, make me feel crazy. I started doubting myself. Thinking I was paranoid? Turns out I was right all along. She wiped her eyes. Thank you, Emma, not just for telling me, but for believing I deserved to know. And before we hung up, she said something I'll never forget. I'm not staying. He doesn't get to play house with two women anymore. I'm done. I felt a mix of sadness and something else, relief, because for the first time in weeks, I wasn't drowning alone, part 5. His world started crumbling. A week passed before I heard anything from Noah. I figured he got the message loud and clear, especially after Maddie kicked him out. She didn't tell me much about the aftermath, just that she filed for separation immediately and told their daughter that Daddy had to leave for a while. But of course, he didn't disappear quietly. It started with texts. Dozens of them. Emma, please talk to me. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. You don't understand what I've been going through. I didn't respond, not once. I blocked his number, then his email, then his burner Instagram accounts when he started messaging me from those dots, even left a note at my door one night. Scribbled handwriting, rain smudged ink. I made a mistake, but I love you. Please don't throw away what we had. It was all built on lies. Zoe was furious. You want me to call the cops? Because I will. That man is unhinged. I wasn't scared, not exactly, but I was tired. So tired. And more than anything, I was angry. Because here was this man, this manipulator, still trying to spin the story like he was the victim. Still pretending love excused everything he'd done. So I made a choice. I logged onto Reddit, not under my real name. But I wrote a long anonymous post in R true off my chest. I didn't name him. I didn't mention the city. But I told the whole story start to finish. The lies, the marriage, the child named Emma, the phone discovery, the wife's reaction, all of it. I didn't expect anything from it. I just needed to get it out. To scream into the void, but it blew up. Thousands of comments. People from all over the world expressing outrage, support, heartbreak. Strangers calling him every name. In the book, other women sharing their own horror stories of being unknowingly the other woman. And then the messages started from his co-workers, from his friends, from someone claiming to be his sister, log, that they all put the pieces together. They knew it was him. Apparently he had a reputation for being a bit flaky, but no one imagined this level of deceit. His job, gone. His in-laws, cut him off completely. His world, crumbling. And you know what? I didn't feel sorry for him because for once the consequences were real. Not just emotional wreckage left for others to clean up. He was the one left with nothing. And me, I wasn't whole yet. Far from it. But I was healing. Part 6. The apology I never wanted. It had been over a month since I last saw Noah in person when I got the letter. Not a text. Not a call. A handwritten envelope slipped into my mailbox. No return address. For a second, I thought about throwing it away unopened. But curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a single piece of paper. No grand speech. No dramatic confessions. Just a quiet, clumsy attempt at something. Closure, maybe redemption? I'm not sure. Emma, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to say I'm sorry. Truly, not for getting caught. Not for losing everything. But for hurting you. You didn't deserve to be lied to. You didn't deserve to be dragged into my mess. I told myself I was falling in love with you because I needed something to escape into. But that was selfish. I ruined two people's lives, and I have to live with that now. I'm sorry. Noah stared at the letter for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't feel relief. Just empty. It was too late for sorry. You don't get to apologize after detonating someone's life and expect it to mean anything. But weirdly, I appreciated the silence of it, the absence of begging. For once, he wasn't trying to spin the story. He was just admitting it. Finally, I folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because part of me knew I might want to read it again one day, not out of longing, but as a reminder. A reminder of how easily charm can turn into betrayal. How even the most perfect-seeming person can be. Hiding a second life behind their smile. That week, Maddie messaged me again. She'd moved in with her sister. Started seeing a therapist. Enrolled their daughter in a new school. We're doing okay, she wrote. Emma still asks for her dad, but I'm teaching her that love doesn't come with lies. It broke my heart, but it also gave me hope. She was stronger than she realized. Maybe I was too. I started going out more, took on new clients, got rid of everything that reminded me of him, the mug he left, the hoodie I once slept in, the Polaroids we took. One by one, I let them go, and I started writing again. Not for work, just for me. Pouring my thoughts into journals, essays, even short stories. It was like therapy, only messier. And one day, as I was walking home from a cafe, I realized something that stopped me in my tracks. I hadn't thought about him all day, not once. That was the moment I knew. I was finally getting my life back. Part 7, from the wreckage. I rebuilt. 6 months have passed. Sometimes it still feels like a bad dream I haven't fully woken up from. Other days, it feels like it happened to someone else entirely. Like, I watched it from a distance, helpless. As a version of myself unraveled and then rebuilt from scratch. But make no mistake, I did rebuild, piece by piece. Day by day, I moved apartments. Started fresh in a smaller, cozier place. I painted the walls myself, even though I'd never done that before. It was messy. Cathartic. I left streaks in the corners on purpose. Imperfect, like me, but real. Honest. Zoe, being the warrior she is, stuck by me through it all. On the worst days, she brought me food and wine and refused to let me spiral alone. On the better days, she reminded me of who I was before Noah. Strong, smart, and whole. I started going to therapy. I didn't think I needed it, first thought. I could power through like I always had, but unpacking the betrayal with a stranger was freeing in ways I didn't expect. She helped me see patterns, wounds I hadn't realized were there. That part of me, deep down, had always sought safety in others instead of building it within myself. But more than anything, therapy helped me forgive. Not him, but myself, because for a long time, I blamed me for not seeing the signs, for trusting too quickly, for loving someone who didn't deserve it. But that's the thing. About love, it's not a crime to give it. It's only a tragedy when it's taken and weaponized. And Noah? He wasn't some twisted mastermind. He was a coward. A man who couldn't face his own emptiness, so he built separate lives to fill it. I no longer hate him because hate takes energy, and he doesn't get that from me anymore. As for Maddie, we still check in now and then. She sends me pictures of her daughter, who's growing fast and learning to ride a bike. She's building a new life too, one where lies don't creep under the door. We joked once, in one of our rare texts, that maybe we should start a podcast, The Wives Club, unofficial. It was the first time I laughed about it without feeling like I was choking on the memory. The truth is, I don't need revenge. I don't need Noah to suffer because I won. I got my life back. My identity, my clarity. And somewhere out there, there's someone honest, someone real, who won't flinch at love or hide behind lies. I haven't met them yet, but I will until. Then I am at peace. And after everything he stole from me, that is something he can never take back. Part 8. When the dust settled, the truth stayed. It's strange how quiet life becomes after chaos. Not silent, just still. Like the world holds its breath after a storm. That's what it felt like in the weeks after everything. I wasn't reeling anymore. The shock had worn off. The anger, the hurt, the disbelief, they didn't disappear, but they settled into something more manageable. Like background noise, I had learned to live with Dot, and in that silence, I started to see everything more clearly. I remembered the first time Noah told me he loved me. We were sitting in my living room, watching some dumb rom-com. He turned to me, brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, and said it so naturally. I love you, Em. I remember how warm my chest felt. How I believed him. Now I look back at that moment, and all I can think is, how many other women heard those same words? How many versions of Noah were there? The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the realization that I didn't even know who he was, that someone could live beside me, hold me, touch me, look me in the eyes, and be performing the whole time. How do you trust after that? That's the question my therapist asked me one afternoon. Are you afraid of being hurt again? Or are you afraid of trusting the wrong person? And I didn't know the answer. Not then. But I kept showing up to those sessions, kept writing, kept talking to Zoe, to Maddie, to myself when I needed to. I poured myself into my work, redesigned my portfolio, took on new clients, traveled for the first time in years, just me, my laptop, and the desire to breathe air he'd never touched. One afternoon, I got coffee in Vancouver and realized I hadn't checked my phone all day. Not because I was avoiding anything, but because I was finally living again, and then something strange happened. I met someone, not in a romantic fireworks kind of way. Not the next big love story. Just a guy at a bookstore who laughed at the same weird historical fiction author I liked. We chatted, shared book recommendations, talked for 2 hours without checking the time. When he asked for my number, I paused, not because I was scared, but because for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a choice, not out of fear, but out of power, and I gave it to him, not because I was ready to fall again, but because I was ready to try. Noah shattered me. But he didn't get to. Keep the pieces. I picked them up. And now I'm building something stronger than I had before. Part 9. She reached out again. But this time it was different. It had been a few weeks since the bookstore moment when I got a message I didn't expect, at least. Not anymore. It was Maddie. We hadn't spoken in a while. Life had pulled us in different directions as it should, but seeing her name pop up on my screen still made my stomach flutter. Not out of fear, but familiarity. She was a strange kind of sister to me, now bonded not by blood, but by betrayal. Hey, Emma, this might sound strange, but I've been thinking about you lately. Would you maybe want to grab coffee sometime? I think it would help me to talk. No pressure if you're not up for it. I stared at the message for a long time. And then I wrote back, yeah, I'd like that. We met at a quiet cafe near the park neutral territory. She looked different, lighter. Her hair was shorter. She smiled, more easily, but there was still a weight in her eyes I recognized instantly. I almost didn't message you. She admitted as we sat down, I didn't want to bring the past back up. You didn't, I said gently. It's part of us, but it's not all we are. We talked for hours again. Not just about Noah, though, yes. We still called him by name. No nicknames, no sugarcoating. We talked about healing, about being single moms, about identity, self-worth, and learning to breathe again. She told me that Emma, her daughter, was starting therapy too. That she missed her dad, but didn't ask about him as much anymore. She's resilient, Maddie said, her voice full of quiet pride. More than I ever was. And then she said something that stayed with me long after we hugged goodbye. You saved me, you know? You could have walked away. You didn't have to tell me, but you did. I didn't know what to say at first. I never thought of it that way. All I could answer was, you deserve the truth. And so did I. It hit me then just how full circle this had all become. I didn't just lose a partner. I gained clarity. I gained strength. I gained a sense of self that had never been this sharp before. And strangely, I gained a connection with someone who should have been a stranger or even a rival. But love built on lies turns to ashdot and truth. Truth builds something real if you let it. That night, as I walked home alone, I felt something. I hadn't in months. Peace. No bitterness. No anger. Not even sadness. Just peace. And that peace whispered a promise. You survived it. Now go live louder than ever before. Part 10. The life I chose. After the lie, some people say closure is overrated. I disagree. Closure isn't about getting answers from the person who hurt you. It's not about hearing, I'm sorry, in a way that fixes everything. It's about standing in the ruins of what was and choosing to walk away from it, not with rage, but with clarity, and that's what I did. 6 months ago, I was in love with a man who had a wife, a child, and an entire secret life. I was unknowingly living inside a lie, thinking I was building something real. I remember how deeply I trusted Noah, how easily I gave him my heart, and how brutally he shattered it. That betrayal didn't just break me, it erased the version of myself that believed love was always enough. But what I didn't know then was that the ending of that chapter would lead to something far more powerful. The beginning of me. The real me. It was a crisp Saturday morning when I visited my old apartment for the last time. I had officially ended my lease and was handing him the keys. It was empty now, just bare walls and echoing steps. But standing there, I could still feel the ghosts of who I used to be. The girl who decorated this place believing Noah would eventually move in. The girl who kept a drawer for his things, who left little notes in his jacket pocket. Who thought? The universe had finally handed her someone safe. And yet, in this same space, I had also discovered the truth. I'd sat on his kitchen floor shaking, holding his phone, watching my life collapse in real time. I closed my eyes and let that memory wash over me, not to relive it, but to release it. Then I turned off the lights, locked the door behind me, and walked away without looking back. I moved into a new apartment downtown. High ceilings, big windows. A view of the city lights at night. It felt like a reset button in my own space. No traces of him, no emotional landmines in drawers or corners. I filled it with things that felt like me. Secondhand books, earthy tones. Plants I actually remembered to water. One night, Zoe came over for wine and pizza. Her usual tradition of checking in on my mental health without making it weird. You've changed, she said casually, pouring the wine. Oh no, I joked. Do I radiate trauma in therapy now? She laughed. No, yeah, but also, you seem lighter, stronger, like someone who knows exactly who she is. That made me pause. Because she was right, I did feel stronger. Not invincible, just unshakable in ways I wasn't before. Like I'd been broken open and rebuilt using steel instead of glass. I won't lie and say it's all perfect now. Healing isn't linear. There were still moments when I woke up from dreams where he was next to me, laughing like nothing ever happened. Times when I saw a man with dark hair and a dimple and my stomach dropped for no reason. But those moments pass quicker now. The panic didn't stay, and when I thought of Noah, I didn't feel hate anymore. I felt nothing he didn't define. Me. He was a lesson, an ugly, necessary one. And strangely, I felt grateful. Because without him, I never would have found this version of myself. A few weeks later, I bumped into the guy from the bookstore again. It was late, a rainy Tuesday evening, and I was browsing the poetry section, trying to decide whether I actually understood modern poetry or just like pretending I did. I looked up, and there he was. Jake. We both laughed. You again, he said, still hunting for emotionally devastating prose. Always, I smiled. Helps me sleep. We grabbed coffee after. It wasn't a date. It was just two people talking, connecting, existing in the same safe space. He was kind, curious, thoughtful in the way he listened. He didn't ask about my past, didn't try to impress me. He was just present. And maybe that was enough for now. We started seeing each other casually. No pressure, no timelines, just walks, conversations. The occasional late night text about books or bizarre dreams. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't rushing toward love. I was simply allowing life to happen again. One morning, I got an envelope in the mail. It was from Maddie. Inside was a photo of her and her daughter, Emma, standing in front of a sunflower field, both smiling. Free. On the back, she had written, "We're doing good. And I hope you are too. Thank you for being brave when I wasn't." Mm. I sat there staring at the photo for a long time. We'd survived the same man, the same lie. But more than that, we'd survived the shame, the confusion, the gaslighting. We'd survived ourselves in the worst moments. And now we were both building futures no one could take from us. That picture didn't just make me smile. It made me feel proud. Proud of her. Proud of me. Proud of everything we walked through and refused to stay buried in. If you'd asked me a year ago who I'd be now, I never would have imagined this version of myself. Stronger, softer, wiser, more cautious, yes, but not closed off. I still believe in love. I still believe in trust. But now I know the signs. Now I know what real feels like. And now I finally know who I am without anyone else's lies shaping the narrative. So, to anyone out there who's ever found themselves blindsided, betrayed, or broken, you are not the ruin someone left behind. You are the rebuild, and you are more powerful than you'll ever know.